Welcome to the Transition Bridge podcast. This is the podcast where we come in each and every week to discover more about the purpose and power of the life's transitions. This is Debi Ronca, your host, and I want to start our episode today by asking you a question. What if the biggest summit you ever faced isn't a mountain, but it's the life that unfolds when everything around you falls apart? My guest, Dianette Wells, has climbed Mount Everest not once, but twice. She's conquered the seven summits, crossed deserts on foot, raced across continents, and faced down physical extremes most of us can't even imagine. But her greatest feat is rebuilding her life after unimaginable personal loss and finding the courage to keep going, even when standing still just seems so much easier. Well, today, in our gripping and deeply human conversation, Dianette is going to share how the same mindset that carried her up the world's tallest peaks helped her navigate the emotional terrain of heartbreak, reinvention, and healing after the tragic death of her son. From the outside, she was the picture of having an ideal life, a mother of three, a Malibu wife, and an elite athlete. But inside, she was searching for something much deeper. Her memoir, Another Step Up the Mountain, chronicles a journey that's going to resonate with anyone who has ever hit rock bottom and wondered if they had the strength to climb back up. Dianette, welcome to the Transition Bridge podcast. It truly is an honor to have you with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, and of course, before we start, and I know it, I read it in the bio, but from mom to mom, I just want to say how deeply sorry I am for the loss of your amazing son. And I think every mother, when they hear something like this, our hearts just lunge forward to the other mother who just walked through the unimaginable loss of our children. So I just want to take a moment for that sacred moment to just let you know how sorry I am.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
We're going to talk today about your memoir and a result of going through all of this. I love the name, Another Step Up the Mountain. But before we get there, there's so many things that you have done that's beyond my imagination. The physical ability that you had to do all of those summits and races. So you've conquered the world's highest peaks, you've crossed the deserts. So what honestly first drew you to this type of adventure and physical challenges?
It was the pure joy I felt upon summiting Mount Whitney, which is the very first thing I ever did. Um, 12 of my girlfriends, or 11 of my girlfriends, I think there were 12 of us, and just that deep, deep joy and that
Mm.
instant longing of, okay, what's next? And then it happened again on Kilimanjaro, this pure form, which I can say I've maybe felt a handful of times of everything is right in the world at this very moment. And that just kind of started the ball rolling.
So there really is like a pure joy. Does it make you feel alive?
Oh, 100%. Very, very alive and very much in the moment, which is also something that interestingly my son said to me years later when he was describing base jumping to me. You are so present. And that's what in those sports, when I'm doing those sports, I'm very present. And it's a wonderful feeling.
I can't even imagine the sense of accomplishment. I mean, did you personally, even inside, think, I can do that? Or did you challenge yourself to do it?
Well, I was a housewife and a mom, and
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure I didn't even own running shoes. And if I did, I probably didn't use them very much. I went to the gym all the time. I mean, I guess I'd go on small runs, but I was never really a runner. I was never some athlete. I was a cheerleader. Um, and for most of these, which I like about adventure sports, is that you don't know, oh, 100% I'm going to get to the finish line. that's the adventure part of it is you're at a start line with everybody else. And some people look physically imposing and some people look like they couldn't go 10 feet. And, it's amazing how you can't judge people because you never know how far they can go. But at that one moment, you're all on equal footing. And,
Mm.
it's a very joyous thing to be on a start line or a trailhead to start up a mountain. And because of these sports, you have no clue whether you're going to summit or get to the finish line. But that's part of the fun of it for me. It's the unknown.
The unknown, and it's truly something bigger than yourself. Oh
Yes.
my gosh. Oh my God. And so your son, he seemed to be born with this same spirit, your same DNA.
100%. I mean, I think the first time he walked was on his first birthday, and he never stopped. It was three sets of stitches by the time he was two, within 8 days,
Oh my
including
gosh.
a set he got in the hospital. It's, they could not get us out of there fast enough. But um,
Oh my
yeah,
word.
a lot of
Active.
fun stories, very, very active, and gave me a run for my money. And yeah, there's some great, funny Johnny stories in the book. And he was a wild man.
Oh, my son walked on his first birthday too. You just know they are the ones that are gonna plow through life and keep us running, right? Oh
Yes.
my gosh. Well, you've had this amazing journey, but it did take a heartbreaking turn when your son passed away. And I would love for you to share with us about that, share more about him, and how did that moment, we know this moment changes us. It just changes the way we think, our perspective. And how would you define strength now as a result of what you've been through?
Um, well, when you get that phone call, it your world will never ever be the same. And every time I hear of um, a new family on the news or something, they've lost their child, my heart breaks for them because I know
Yeah.
that their lives will never be the same again.
Hmm.
So, I pray for them and hope for them and wish for them that they get to that point that over time comes where instead of hearing his name and you burst into tears or you just can't function for the next 24 hours, that you're reminded of something funny or the thought of him brings a smile to your face. And parents need to know that time does come and time does ease the pain, and it's not something you ignore. It's not something that um, you just pretend doesn't happen. It's something that for me, I've learned to live with it because we don't have a choice, right? We're either going to give up and live horrible lives or miserable lives and not move forward. But I don't think that's our purpose here on this planet. We are meant to live, with joy, and we're meant to live life. And, I think because I so truly believe I'm going to see Johnny again, and I get signs from him all the time, which if we're looking and paying attention to, they are with us, they are sending signs. And it's like, okay, I just need to get through my lifetime and then I'll see you again. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's our hope, isn't it? If we did not have that hope that we would see our loved ones again, this part of the journey here on earth would be
Awful.
awful. I was like, what word could I use? Awful. It's the word. So I have to ask you this. If Johnny were sitting here right now, what would he say to you about how you're doing this journey?
I'm sure, I think on the other side, they're not judgmental of us at all. So,
Right, right.
um, I just think there's too much love over there. I I hope for the most part he would be proud of me.
Yeah.
I know that when I'm on a climb or I'm skiing really fast or if I'm racing or something, that's when I feel him the most and I feel like he's having a good time with me. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm sure he's bored a little bit when I have a Netflix chill on the couch day, but he can go hang with another family member.
I love that. I believe, yeah, he would be so proud. He would be like, yeah, mom, that's amazing. I love the fact that you didn't stop. So many times we're all dealt with some type of tragedy, something that happens in our lives, but you chose to keep moving forward. So grief can be like that unscalable mountain. And so, what did you find were the parallels between the pain of loss and the process of climbing?
Well, the process of climbing or racing is you don't give in, you don't give up. Um, and you know, after Johnny passed, I was originally supposed to go to Everest that spring of 2016. I had signed up to do Everest, Lhotse, and Nuptse. No woman had done all three. I had big plans to do them in 3 days. I had moved to Park City specifically to train for this.
Okay.
And then after the accident, I couldn't physically walk around the block. It was so difficult. And
Mm.
um, I had two dogs at the time, and I was on a walk with the dogs. And, I was hunched over like an old lady walking my dogs. And I would tell myself, Dianette, stand up straight. You're Johnny Stranger's mother. Stand up straight. And, you know, okay, so I'd physically try to just stand correctly. And at one point, and I talk about it more thoroughly in the book, I just felt literally disconnected from the earth. And it scared me enough. And I just thought, no, I do not just want to exist anymore. I want to live. And I got home from that walk. I called or contacted a friend who is a race director for Racing the Planet. And I said, is there a spot for me in your upcoming ultra marathon in Sri Lanka? And she said, absolutely. And it's a surreal experience what happened and who I miraculously, and it's a solo. I was running by myself, but this one man who kind of joined me at the hip. You can read it in the book. It was surreal, but it brought me back to life.
So it was that particular race that you put yourself in felt is what brought life back to you.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, and that I was getting my mojo back and getting back to who I was, and great signs from Johnny while I was
Mm.
crazy. It was crazy, crazy stories.
So I was going to ask you, what small steps did you take to, emotionally, spiritually, but that sounds like you took a leap.
Well, no, but it's good that you say that because it is true that the small steps that I would take, because this is from October until that race was in February. And for me, and thankfully it was wintertime in Park City, but I had a bird feeder right outside my living room window. And, sometimes I wouldn't leave the house for a week, but I would walk outside to fill the bird feeder because, you can't let your birds down. The guilt
Right.
would be too much. And as soon as I would open the door and the fresh air would hit me, I just felt so much better. And, walking that sometimes I'd look at the dogs, I'd say, guys, I'm so sorry. I can't do it today, which
Yeah.
very disappointing for them, but um, you do what you can, but just the little steps of walking the dogs, feeding the bird feeder, and that was enough. And, you know, that's okay.
Yeah. It is the little steps. I'm glad you brought that up because I was like, oh my gosh, you just jumped back into the racing, but you did have the little steps. You had those moments emotionally, spiritually, and even physically, even getting back into just walking the dogs. Everything took time.
It does. And everyone's time thing, people would say, oh, aren't you over this yet? Or when are you going to do this or that? And everybody's journey is different. Grief is different for everyone. And that's what I wish people would give others sometimes a break and not expect them to be over it right away because that's not how it works. And some days you're laughing and some days you're bawling your eyes out. And that also those mood swings stop and over time. And but in the beginning, it's just the first 2 years were awful.
And you never know. Each and every day is so different. Like you said, one day you can have joy, and later that day, we just crash. I remember when my father died, It was probably a few months later. I was like in Walmart walking down the card aisle, and out of nowhere, I just burst into tears. And it's like grief sometimes just surprises you during the day.
Yeah. And, that's okay. It's,
Hmm.
you know,
We have to be present. Like you were present on the mountain, we have to be present in our grief. And can I ask you, how were your other two children impacted and how are they doing now?
so, they're pretty private. They're highly
Okay.
successful in their careers, and I'm immensely proud of their grit and how they were able to, not let their lives go off the rails. We see so many siblings, and that's another thing is it doesn't seem like siblings are addressed as much as the parents are, or
Hmm.
children when their parents have passed away. And sometimes siblings can kind of not get left behind, but maybe not considered as much. And this is really a topic that should be discussed. But I am immensely proud of my daughters, and I know Johnny is incredibly proud of them. And so for that, I'm so grateful.
I'm glad you brought that up because you're right. Sometimes we forget about how the siblings are affected.
Yeah,
That
it's the
that's
their lives. Where for
yeah.
us, we're the parents, we have our lifespan, but the siblings, that is years and years without their sibling.
And that's an adjustment. That's a traumatic adjustment for all of you. And so I found this on your website, and I love what was written here. It says we all face mountains in life, grief, self-doubt, financial hardship, divorce, etc. How we contend with them makes all of the difference. Resilience, purpose, and personal empowerment are not reserved for the lucky few. They are within reach for anyone willing to take that first step. What would you like to share about that and take us deeper?
I don't think 99% of us get off this planet without our own Everest of something to overcome. And that's the thing of not giving up, little steps, having purpose, having goals. Sometimes we don't even know our purpose. Half the time I'm still wondering what my purpose is, but just moving forward. Even sometimes it's a little forward this way or a little forward this way, but forward movement. And that's important. And um, yeah, so I had jet lag horribly. And so I
No
might have
worries.
a question, but it's, I think as long as we don't give up, and the same thing of not quitting on a mountain, unless things are dangerous, of course, but just not quitting on life and being present, showing up, not quitting. We can all, whether it's an inch step or a big step, we all have it in us to move forward. Whatever those self doubts and those rocks, if you will, in your backpack that are weighing you down, dump them. You are
Hmm.
here to live a great, joyful life. And whatever that looks like to you, do it for you. You don't have to live for your husband telling you what to do and how to do it, or the expectations of your neighbors. You need to do what you know in your heart and soul is meant for you. And you'll find that the more joyous you are, the more joyous people around you can be.
Joy is contagious, isn't it?
It is. And sometimes it's hard to be joyous every day. I mean, 100%,
Sure.
but it's something to work towards.
As you were talking, I was just imagining, walking up Mount Everest and all the things that you encounter along the way. Your breath, takes your breath away, the pain in your legs, the mental focus is gone. Even, just the desire, like, or the questioning, why am I doing this? But then you can take that, like you said, and apply that to when we have our Everest in daily life. Something's going to take our breath away. Something's going to really hurt. Something's going to challenge us mentally to give up. we may lose our inspiration. But what I hear you saying, Dianette, is just keep taking the steps, just keep going, and to believe that you still have a purpose in life. And I know we're so simpatico in this because I believe every one of us has been given a unique race to run. And sometimes life happens and we can get knocked out of the race for a short time, but our calling really is for us to get back in that race, even if we have to start slow, even if we can't jump over that hurdle as high as we could the last time. But we have to get back in the race because life will go by and we'll never realize our full potential, our purpose, what we could possibly do if we're just sitting on the sidelines watching everyone else go by.
Yeah, we're not meant to sit on the sidelines.
Yeah.
As Vern Tejas, the famous, amazing climber, said in the documentary that was being filmed on my son, and he died doing the subject of the documentary. But his one of his lines in the film is, ships weren't made to stay in the harbor, and you know, if we're all ships, get out there and live. And yeah, your sails aren't going to be full of air or wind all of the time, and that's okay because if we like a race, if I knew that no matter what, I'm at the start line, I'm going to get to the finish. What's the fun in that? There's there's no there's no challenge. There's no anything. It's a given, and life isn't a given. And when it's hard, okay, sometimes you just have to check out and just go through the motions until it catches back up with you and you go, okay, I am on strong footing now. And that's okay as long as you don't give up. And when I have a Netflix day, which um you know thankfully those don't happen too much anymore, but I had to come to a point where I just said, Dianette, it's okay. If this is what you need today to get through the day,
Hmm.
go for it. And tomorrow is always a new day, and it will come and it will bring new hope, new joy. You can't give up.
And we have to give ourselves grace. If today's the day I just sit all day, that's really what my mind needs, my body needs, my heart needs. We just can't keep pushing ourselves. And I'm glad that you shared that. I'm glad that you shared that.
But you can't have, a week long, no Netflix weeks. I mean, come on, people, a
Come
day,
on.
two, but no, then we have to deal with something else. But it's important to not only give ourselves grace, but others as well.
So, how did you separate? Okay, so when I think about the loss, how did you somehow, I don't know if the separate's the right word, but find that place of that your life still mattered? Because sometimes in our grief, we could stay in that place where the tragedy happened and we can't find the door to open to get out to our life. How did you discover that?
It comes over time, and I was terrified of that because when it happened, I was just in such a deep hole. And part of my brain was afraid of never coming out of that. So fear. I also had two other children, and if I were to just completely give up, what does that say to them about their lives? That, oh, they didn't
Mm,
matter, that only my son mattered, which is not fair. And at some
right.
point, it hit me that um, life is meant for the living. I need to live, and I need to live for the living. Um, I also had, four animals, and their lives mattered deeply to me. I wasn't, the thought of them ending up back in shelters
Oh, goodness.
would have killed me.
Mhm.
And I have a lot to live for. Um, and I'm not throwing it away when I know I'm going to see him again. And even if you don't believe that, your life is still important, and you have to look at the people around you. It's completely unfair to check out on them. People need you, whoever you are. You are needed and wanted, and you're important. You're valued, and you need to be here. You might not know why you need to be here, but you do. So yeah, no giving up, no giving in.
Right. Because you know what? If we stay isolated, we only hear our own voice and we'll never come out of that pit. We'll
Yeah.
never find that door to open to get back into the race and choosing life. And even when we don't understand, I'm sure. Can you share with us what happened to Johnny? He was doing some kind of base flying.
He was a wingsuit pilot
Okay.
and he was wingsuiting. Um, the whole, all the details are in the book. They're also in a documentary called American Daredevil. It's on Peacock and it's
Okay.
it's on Tubi or Ubi. What I think it's called Tubi. I don't have that app, but and that's I think it's called Born to Fly. But yeah, he was a proximity wingsuit base jumper, which is not just base jumping, but it's wearing a wingsuit. But on top of that, it's proximity is how close you can get to an object, which is usually a cliff. Because the
Okay.
closer you are, the more you feel the speed because you're passing something at such a high rate of speed versus if you just wingsuit out of a hot air balloon or um, a plane or a helicopter, it's a different sensation of speed. So that's why they proximity wingsuit base jumping or base jump.
I saw his picture on your website. I have never seen a wingsuit before, and it is amazing.
They're, as much as I despise the sport, it's beautiful to watch. I actually went and saw someone do it in person, and two or three of them flew past me, and it literally felt almost like an X-ray went through me. The speed and the sound, it was wild. And it's a fascinating sport to watch. I don't.
Hmm.
I wish people would not do it, but I understand the appeal.
Yeah, and the adventure in it all.
Yeah, and who am I to talk? I mean, I like climbing mountains, so a wingsuiter, well, as my son would say to me, you can't tell me what to do. And I've said to him, even on the other side, like, you have no room to lecture me, all things considered.
So, Dianette, how long after all of this happened did you start the memoir? And really, what was your purpose behind it?
Um, People had been saying to me since 2005, you should write a book about all of your adventures. And I
Hmm.
was like, I don't know how to write a book. And so, right after Johnny had passed, a close friend of mine said, you need to speak to my book agent. You have to write a book. And so that whole relationship didn't work because they were basing the book off of me returning to Everest, um, and it explains why in the book why I couldn't, although I thought I was, but I couldn't. So then a couple of years went by. Oh, during COVID, I thought, all these people who say they want to be my co-writer and they flake or they write a story of someone I've never even heard of or recognized. I thought I'm going to do this myself. And I brought my computer out of the office, put it on the kitchen table, and I don't know anything about writing a book. So I literally started off with, I was born this date in 1966. And I just did it in a linear fashion. And I think I had like 80 some thousand words. And a friend of mine, and it's women helping women, by the way. If you can ever help a fellow female, do it because it will come back to you in spades. But
I agree.
she said, because we always try to gatekeeper all that. No, get it out there. Share your resources with your friends because there's no reason not to. But, anyways, so um, she said, contact my book agent. And I did. And she said, here's my format, send it in. And I filled it out. And pretty quickly, I got a phone call back. She said, send me the whole thing. And then
Ooh.
thankfully, she connected me with, and that's Deborah Jacobs, who is my book agent. Wonderful woman. And she said, I have the perfect editor for you. And she introduced me to Britt Elders, who is the kindest, sweetest, loveliest human being, an author in her own right. And she took my jumbled mess and edited it down to what the book is now. And where I would just assume people knew what crampons were and different terms, she's like, no, we're going to explain this so someone in Ohio, let's say, would understand what you're talking about. And she was so fun to work with, and able to get things out of me that, I wasn't always able to put on paper. And so that's how the book happened. And it happened pretty quickly once I was connected with these two beautiful women.
Don't you love the talents that come in and help us get to where we want to go? I know I know the lane I can run in, but some places it's like, no, I need you. I need you to come and step in here and take me to that next place. So she took your 80,000 words and brought it down into, oh, I can't wait to read your book. I'm going to have to get it.
Oh, thank you.
So when you wrote this, what was the intention? Were there specific people that you were trying to reach?
Mm,
Like as a result, what are your hopes as people read your book, Another Step Up the Mountain, or I should say your memoir?
well, I guess, and I also forgot the main part of it. I was on a trip, and Rita Hanks was on this trip, and
Okay.
she asked me, um, and this is, I think, what really, really started the seriousness of it. She asked me to write an article for the Huffington Post, and it was for women over 50. And at the time, I felt my daughters weren't understanding what I was going through because, as a woman and the mom, I always have been the strong one, and, you know,
Hmm.
keeping, um, not falling to pieces because I had other people to think about.
Right.
Um, and I know so many of my friends who've lost children going through the same thing. Like, they have to be the constant rock. And it's exhausting. And
Yeah.
people don't see when you go home alone and you know, cry yourself to sleep, or that's when you fall apart. We don't do it necessarily in front of other people. So people think, oh, you're so strong. You're so strong. So on an airplane in an hour, I wrote this article. And that was kind of the kicker. And I wrote
Mm.
it. The sole reason I wrote it is so my daughters would understand what I was going through. And that, and I think it was titled "How I Learned to Live Again After the Loss of My Son," or something like that.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but the sole purpose was I wrote that for my daughters to read, and I don't even know if they read it. But it felt so good to get all of that out of me and onto paper. So then writing the book, I got so much more out of me and onto paper, and it was so cathartic, and it just felt good.
I can I can really feel that as you're sharing that because we keep everything inside because as moms, we feel like we have to hold it together for everybody else. No one has time to really hear how I feel because I'm more worried about how you feel. But what a God-given moment for you to have have Rita ask you to write that article. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. And so vulnerability then became a new thing for you at that moment. You had to be vulnerable about your emotions. So, what did you learn from all of that?
It was funny. I dated a man for a year, and he said, "You're not vulnerable enough for me." And I thought, well,
Oh,
does that mean I don't cry in front of you enough? I'm sorry, I'm a crier, um, but I do realize, yeah, in front of my kids. And I just had this conversation with a friend of mine this morning, who is also one of the toughest women I know. And we've never really been vulnerable in front of our kids. And so they think we're these super women. And, I could be down with the flu, and you'll not hear my kids say, well, how are you doing today, mom? They just expect me to be as strong as I've always been. And it's just kind of funny, but that's how I raised them. So I can't really complain about it because I have two very, very strong daughters as women. And yeah, I just know so many women, whether they're moms or not, who are just constantly appearing so strong, and being vulnerable is difficult. Um,
It is.
Trying to be better at it, but it's also not too much in my nature. So I'm not going to try to change just because someone wants me to appear vulnerable. And, but I am getting better at it. Yeah, I mean, so a lot of these interviews, they say Johnny's name and I choke up and, I don't want to because I want to appear super strong. But, you just, sometimes you can't help it and that's okay.
Vulnerability is so, as they say, attractive. People are drawn to a vulnerable person. And I know sometimes I struggle with that too, because people expect me to be a certain way. And if I kind of crash a little, it's like, what happened to you? And it's like, I hurt too. I'm a little tired. And I think if we're all vulnerability is something we learn, isn't it? I don't think we're born with it. I think challenges in life will test us and it'll bring out that vulnerability if we do. And I have found the times when I'm most vulnerable, people are drawn and then my relationships go deeper.
And for me, it's a trust level as well.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Me
I can
too.
be vulnerable with, and I seem to have a pretty good radar about that. So
Mhm.
yes, with those closest to me, my closest, dearest friends, I can be very vulnerable with. But you have to be careful too because sometimes people will
Yeah.
use it against you, and you have to protect yourself.
No, I totally agree. And I always have a radar. I can tell who I can trust my heart with. And yeah, we're the same. I love it. I love talking to you.
Our
So,
sons have the same name, so there's
yeah,
that.
there you go. I have a question. So you've experienced the physical endurance, you've walked the deserts, you've done the mountains, but what is more difficult, the physical endurance or the emotional one?
Oh, that's a very good question. I have never been asked that. Um, I will say that the physical will get me out of the emotional.
Ooh, good answer.
So, um, when I was an anorexic, bulimic housewife, the stronger I got physically, um, when Mark Burnett said those magical words, "You should try my race." My horrible British accent imitation of him. Um, you know, I had to get strong physically because I was starting to have the time of my life while I was training and doing some races in preparation for my first eco challenge. And I found that the stronger I got physically, the stronger I got emotionally. And then it was like a whole new beast was released. And I stopped taking nonsense in my marriage. I started standing up for myself. And
Mm.
so, you know, emotional the emotional stuff is hard, but if you can stay strong physically, it will really help you emotionally. Or at least it did for me. And maybe it's the reverse for someone else. I don't know, which I think that's for each individual. But the emotional stuff is, my amazing PR guy is always saying, tell people to take those emotional rocks out of their backpacks and move forward. And it's so true.
Mhm.
So if you want to move forward physically, get rid of the dead weight, anything that's been holding you back. It's not serving you a purpose. Stuff that happened 10, 20, 30 years ago, let it go. Unless there's something today that you can do to change it, let it go. It's not serving you. And what's the point? Like, focus on your future. Learn from your past, focus on your future.
I love that you shared that because I always use the bridge, with transitions. The transitions are the bridges in life that are going to take us from where we currently are to that next season or new direction. But that transition tunnel isn't big enough for us to carry all that weight with us. And as we walk across that bridge, I call it the messy middle, where we get in there, we start discovering those emotional stones that are in our backpacks, the things that we've been holding on to. that don't serve us well in that next season. And if we don't allow that transition, the purpose of it, the power of it to transform us, we just keep taking this baggage with us to every season of our life. And we can never be present enough to fully enjoy it or embrace it because there's always something else that's in the way. So I'm so happy to hear you share that because things do happen. And so it doesn't serve us any longer. Gain what you can learn from it, how you can be better because of it, and keep moving forward. Keep taking that next step. Like you say, up the mountain, I say, across the bridge. Get to that other side.
Absolutely. I love that.
Oh, so speaking of, what's one mountain, whether it's literal or metaphorical, that you still hope to climb?
Uh, well, I want to go do Everest again badly next year.
Oh, awesome.
Hoping for that. I would love to climb Choyo. Uh, of course, Whitney again. Kilimanjaro, I would climb every year if I could. But really, my goal next spring is Everest again.
Do you keep in touch with all of the people that you've climbed with before? Have you found like really special friends along the way?
It's definitely every race, every climb. You meet the most incredible and amazing people, and I am still friends with quite a few of them. And some of these relationships spanning now 25 years. Um, and it is such a small community that if you go to a climb or a mountain anywhere on the planet or a race somewhere, you still see some of the same people, and that's always fun. And of course, through social media, you keep up with people and see what races and climbs they're doing. And yeah, it's an amazing group of people who are so good at living life and just going for it all the time. And I'm so grateful to even know these people, much less have done any sort of sports with them.
I can tell you really have a growth type of mindset. You have a mindset of gratitude. You have a mindset that is like you don't look at life as saying, oh, that's too difficult. I don't think I could do that. You look at life and see a challenge or you see the beauty in something and you want to embrace it and you want to do it.
I think that's how my mom raised me. I mean, she was a nurse and she had a very hard life. Um, she was very strong, raised twins by herself.
Oh my.
So I definitely got my strength from her. And, you know, I think that every time we have a challenge, it's a learning moment. And we can either learn from it or it can crush us. And, I get to turn on my kitchen sink and make hot water come out. How lucky am I? I don't
Yeah.
have bombs going off over my head.
Mhm.
I am so lucky. I'm I'm healthy except for this cold I have. I'm so incredibly fortunate with my health, with I have a home to live in. I can feed my cats. I am grateful and I'm lucky, and it's not lost on me everything I have.
I so value what you just said. Every day is a gift, isn't it?
Yeah.
I wake up and I go, I woke up today and I'm healthy and I can go do this and I can go do that and I can help that person. It's a great day.
You know what's funny? If you I would sometimes set an intention, and I haven't done it lately because I forgot. But every now and again I'd say, God, please put me in the path of someone today that I can help. And the most random little odd things, like a guy got locked out of his car, or someone needed my AAA card. Like the funniest random little things would happen if you ask for it. And so, maybe try that and see if it happens. If anything, it's really funny and will make you laugh when it does happen. But it's kind of a cool, fun thing to do.
Oh, I so agree. It's like, Lord, who do I need to pray for today? Or let me be aware of someone who needs help. Oh, I love that you do that. And you know what? When we ask, we're used.
Yes.
We want to be vessels to be used because life isn't just about us. It's about us also touching the lives of others.
And someone on um, the news this morning, or maybe it was yesterday, Um, so, where I heard this, they said the fastest way to help yourself deal with grief and help get through it is helping someone else.
Yes.
And I thought about that, and because it's an instant, endorphins and something, I can't remember all the wording, but it made so much sense. And this person was so spot on. And yeah, that's another bit of advice of do something for someone else. One, it takes you out of your grief in the moment.
Yes. Yes.
And helping someone else always feels good.
And it kind of gave you a purpose just for that day.
Yeah, or that 5 minutes. I mean, whatever
Yeah,
it is.
that's right. Oh, so with that thought in mind, Dianette, for someone who's listening right now who may be really carrying some deep pain or loss, what would you say to them about their next step?
You know, whatever or whoever you pray to, ask for help,
Hmm.
reach out to a friend, take the chance of being vulnerable and just saying, can we just talk? There were two times I made phone calls to people that I was on the floor, not sure what the next 5 minutes were going to look like. And they were able to calmly talk me through it. And it's okay to make those phone calls. It is okay. And if it's a question of just opening your front door and letting, the cool air hit you, unless you live in the South like I do now and it's like 100 degrees, um, whatever it is, walk the dog, fill the bird feeder, just be in that moment, embrace it, and just truly believe and trust that tomorrow is another day. Just get through the next 5 minutes. It will get better. It does. I absolutely promise you, it gets better.
And I believe that. And I'm so glad that you shared everything from your heart today with us. And so, the best way for anyone to get your memoir, where would they find it?
Barnes and Noble, Amazon, the books on tape, anywhere you buy your books, you can find it.
And so, is there a legacy you hope to leave with your book and your life story?
Um, just that we are all capable of so much more than we think. We each of us has the capacity for great things. And they don't have to be big, great things. They can be something of rescuing an animal and changing that animal's life. Um, but we all have the capacity for greatness and embrace it and run with it.
Get back in that race. And it can be the smallest thing to the biggest thing that we do in life. But as long as we're touching people's lives, it's amazing. I'm so thankful that you were here with us today, Dianette. This has been such a beautiful conversation and just a reminder for all of us that even the tallest mountains or the deepest valleys, they shape us, but there's still hope to be able to move forward.
Thank you so much for having me.
I really enjoyed it. And if you're walking through your own valley, I hope today and I pray that today's episode will remind you that you're not alone. And there's always another step that you can take up your own personal mountain. And I really pray that you heard the heart of Dianette today, all that she has done and all that she has walked through, and to walk away with this knowing there is hope, that you still can find joy, and you still have a purpose for the reason that you are here on this earth. So don't give up. I highly advise that everyone reaches out and gets her memoir, Another Step Up the Mountain, because I think a lot of us need to read that to be inspired that because of tragedy, it doesn't mean that our life has to end. There's a reason that we're here. And we actually want to honor the person that we lost because they would want us to keep taking that next step. They would want us to keep moving on and living out our divine purpose. Because remember, God's gift to us is our potential, and our gift back to Him is developing it, not to put it down, but to pick it up and to keep moving. And so, next time, thank you for being a part of this space where we explore the purpose and the power of transitions. And I just want to thank you, Transition Tribe, for showing up each and every week with open hearts. Be kind to yourself, give yourself grace, keep climbing, and keep taking that next step.